Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, the 13th of January, 2025. This is episode 115 of your favorite weekly show, Ask the Accountant. And as per usual, I am joined by Mr. Aaron Patrick. Aaron, how are you and how was your weekend?
Very good. Do we have to put a disclaimer about favourite just for libel reasons, or is it the
Hashtag assumed.
Yeah, exactly. Hashtag this is an ad. No, it's been a good week. Very busy. I've had a week where my darling wife's been away on holiday with the puppy, so I have just worked, and worked some more. Yeah, 2:30 a.m. was one of the nights, and it's not seen 2:30 a.m. for a long time. But yeah, it's
Certainly
been
not sober.
yeah, exactly. Well, that's exactly it, right? There's been a few events, maybe this year, wasn't there, when we got back at 2:30 a.m. I still remember at the ICB trying to get myself into the door with my place card and not the door code or one. But, hey, those stories are for a different podcast. If we ever do Ask the Accountant
After hours.
Yeah. But no, it's been a good week. What about yourself? How has your week been? You've been gallivanting around London, haven't you? It's when are you going to do your what your bag consists of? You know, your everyday bag of how you made it to London and back.
So I was in Reading for 4 days. So I was down at there's a business coach called Jonathan J who specializes in coaching people on how to buy businesses and grow their portfolio through acquisitions. So he asked if I'd go down and do a couple of workshop sessions for him, explaining what to look for in accounts and red flags, as it were. So spent 2 days down there doing that, which was very good, very productive, very worthwhile. Lots of great connections. Very much enjoyed that, and a break from tax returns, which was nice. Only to come back and sit down yesterday and go, oh God, we've still got 120 to do. Okay, that was my last weekend off for a while. But yeah, all good, thank you. And of course, we are nothing if we are not here with our community. So let's go through the comments. Who have we got so far? Good morning to Paul. Happy January to you too, Paul.
Is it Happy January? Is that what we tell each other?
It's January.
Maybe drop the happy, Paul.
Good morning to Cheryl. Good morning to Rachel and Natasha. Good morning to Dave. Hope you all had a good weekend. We did, thank you. Kirsty says, yeah, start the Monday the right way. Good morning. Good morning, Kirsty. Good morning to Juliet. Good morning to Sam. Grey and gloomy here in Aylesbury. Got the weather in this time. Well done, Sam. It is, I can't tell you the weather because it's still dark in Scotland. Grim, basically, but dry for now. Good morning to Carl. Kirsty says, ooh, ATA late night version or ATA over 18s or ATA extra.
Maybe we don't want over 18. I don't know about that one. That just seems a bit
risky.
Yeah, a bit promising stuff, and we might deliver on that.
And good morning to Clive as well. Hope you're all well. So, Aaron, I've got 120 tax returns to do in the next 19 days. Where are you up to?
Well, personally, on my personal practice, I am 9 away, and 2 of them are me and the wife. So yeah, I'm on top of them for the first time. And to be fair, that's breaking all records. Normally, they're the ones where literally the 31st January, one of them will turn around and pass me some information. They'll probably still will at this point. And Boffics, we're below 100, but I can't remember exactly where we are. It's, I think we're as low as 60 possibly, but yeah, we're in that sort of numbers with there. So we're doing okay. But none of this is, anyone's fault or anything. This isn't something where there's a problem or, we should have done better or we're behind or anything like that. This is just purely these clients don't want to, they want to bury their head in the sands, or, they've got other things that they're looking to do, or whatever the reason is, they've just not sent the stuff over, and that's fine.
I would argue accountants and bookkeepers complaining that it's busy and people want last minute tax returns is like hospitality people complaining it's busy at Christmas.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
right.
Amazon drivers complaining it's busy after Christmas. But it comes with the territory, guys. get over your egos. If you're done, fantastic, but do not criticize and shame others for not being done. And if someone wants to take on a last minute tax return, that's perfectly fine. That's their business, it's their choice, their direction. We need to all stop criticizing each other on social media about this.
Yeah, I was looking at my diary for next week. So this week's pretty quiet, purposely because we normally cut these like first 2 weeks out, so we just get our head down, get some work done. And only really existing clients can book in, and even them, normally there's got to be a reason behind it. But PNC doors open next week, so we're talking about not this week, week after. And I have something like, is it 32 inquiry calls to go through in that week alone? Like, I imagine a big proportion of them are going to be people wanting their tax returns done, right? Like, why would there be such an influx? And yeah, I could have closed it down and said, no, I'm not going to do any more, etc., etc. But if we can help them and get them over the line, surely that goodwill is worth the weight in gold, right?
And ultimately, let's face it, I know you and I did. We got into this to help people out.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I got into this to help my friends out who couldn't find accountants to take them on because they were too small. So for me to then turn around to people and go, oh, well, no, not anymore, I'm not here to help you, then I've lost my direction and moral compass, haven't I? So, yeah. I mean, it's doing my head in on socials. To be honest with you, not been on LinkedIn very much at all the last few weeks because it's A, the algorithm's upsetting me, B, the content's upsetting me. Like these we're right, everyone else is wrong attitudes. There's better things for me to do with my time. I'd rather go and chat to people in like the engager community where it's a lot more positive and supportive and encouraging. LinkedIn's getting a little bit toxic at the moment. We'll see how it changes after this year. Paul says it is happy for him. Down to the last few accounts still to come in and on target.
Nice. Boom. Well done, Paul.
Well done, Paul. Had a few last minute new clients who've turned away by their previous accountant last week. I've got 15 new inquiry calls this week. Like, you can't complain you're not growing and then decide you don't want to deal with the inquiries. Like, it just is counterproductive.
Yeah. Good morning. I've got a problem in the fact that I always tell my team that any new inquiries I'll deal with. So,
I'll deal with the inquiry. You guys deal with the workload.
No, I do it all.
So, you're an idiot.
Might be seeing that 2:30 again this week or next week, shall I say?
Could be a late one. Good morning to Sue Green. How are you? And Rachel says, I am only late this year because of the personal stuff going on over the summer and my own headspace, but we are our own worst enemies if we don't train our clients to get their paperwork in on time.
Well said, Rachel. Well said.
Yep. But also some people aren't trainable, so it's fine. And you know what? What's it matter? Like, I've got a handful of clients I know are going to turn up in the next couple of weeks, and they do that every year. They are consistent. And if they're consistent, that means I can plan around them. So I can make sure we've got earlier tax returns done, ready to deal with the later income. And that's fine. So while we're talking about tax returns, it's never a bad time to start planning for 2026's tax return season, even though we're not finished 2025. So what I want to just get people thinking about is, so I've got a top tip. And the top tip is to start making notes of things that make you go, ouch. So while you're doing your tax returns now, start making notes of, that took me far too long. The loading speed of this is too much. I had to answer the same question multiple times with multiple clients. Stuff like that. Wherever you're spending time repeatedly, make a note of it. So I've got a long list of notes in my iPad, and what I then do, sometimes I do it instantly, ready for next year. Sometimes I just leave it there because it's a bit of a bigger project, is I then go through all those notes and I action each one. So I've been writing out a template an email for quite a few clients that are saying, "Oh, what you're telling me to pay and what my HMRC account are telling me to pay are two different things." It's like, yes, but so I'm having to write an email saying, yes, we know there probably might be a difference if we haven't got agent access, but also it states that at the bottom of the signing email, but people aren't necessarily reading that. So I'm then sat there typing out replies to everything. So I've now created a template. So instead of typing out a reply to every client, I can just go use this template in Engager, send. So it's those little wins that I'm looking for. So basically, yeah, whilst you're going through this pain point, start documenting areas that this takes too long. How can I make that more efficient? You don't need to have the answer, but if you've got the notes, because I guarantee you, first week of February, you will forget.
Yeah.
You will go, where did I get stuck? And then next year, you'll get stuck on the same points. Go, oh, yeah, it was there. That's where I got stuck last year. So, yeah, top tip, start noting down all of the things that make you go, oof, or frustrate you and anger you that you can then potentially change and improve on. So we had some bits where we've had to seek extra information. It's like, why didn't we put that in our tax return questionnaire form? Even yesterday, we sent out a load of AML self-declaration forms in Engager for our clients, where they confirm that they're not involved in cryptocurrency and all that stuff. But actually, this time we've got a few yeses come back. And all I've done is put a custom, like a field there going, can you tell us what it is? And then I've sat there having to copy and paste that into the place I store it in Engager. So why have I done that? Why didn't I use a custom field so that it pre-fills it for me? So I'm just constantly tweaking and evolving all of my processes. And the way I do it is I don't just go, oh, I need to fix that later and forget about it, is I document or I deal with it there and then. So if you've not got time to deal with it, document it. Even if you've got, I've got an idea of the solution, document that. Because there's nothing worse than documenting a pain point going, oh, what was the solution I came up with that? Because I've only documented the pain point. I've not documented the resolution as well. So yeah, top tip, getting ready for 2026's tax return. I know 2025 is not over. Trust me, I'm acutely aware of that. But that's how we're constantly evolving and improving our process at On Point Accounting to make sure we are ready. Any top tips from you, Aaron?
Well, just on yours, though, I think the other thing to remember is, I'm sure you're the same, but this is one of the few parts here where I really get my sleeves up and actually dive into the day-to-day workings. As I said, I'm going to be onboarding and doing the work and everything for all the PNTs that we get through. Well, majority of them. There'll be a couple that I'll hand over, but that gives me a chance to go back to actually getting my head like, what am I finding frustrating? Because, you know, all the will in the world, we build these systems, we build these solutions, and we have these opportunities to make them as smooth as possible because we have this wonderful integration with Client Engager, for example. But it's not until you've actually, like you've shown there, that you actually get working with it and actually, because sometimes your team don't moan about that particular thing because they don't know that there's any better way, right? And they just accept it.
Assume that's the way it is.
Exactly. But actually, when you go into it, and like you've just seen there, like you've just explained there, like the frustration of that not being connected to that. Well, that's because you know Engager inside out. You know the functionality and the capability of it, so it's an easy fix for you. Your team might just be like, "Oh, I've just assumed there's no better way, so I've constantly been doing that." And then you can implement a change that's going to save hours, by the sounds of it, going forward in a year. So that's the best. That's the positivity around this time, isn't it? We get our, we roll up our sleeves and we get actually in the weeds of it, and that's when we can find those changes. For me, I think what I've learned, 2024 was I'm not using technology enough to produce my tax returns for my clients, and 2025 or this year we're going to make sure we get so much more done. Blah 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 blah. I'm actually going to have to reverse that this year because we've become over reliant on technology to the point where technology's then failed us, and meant that we then now need to chase our tails and ask for stuff that we've not had to ask in previous years. So I don't know if you've had the same problem, but our feed into our tax production tax return software, where it brings in those P60s, has been even worse this year than it has been in previous years.
I've never had it reliable enough for us to warrant implementing it.
Oh, really?
So we've always turned around and said, look, so whether it's agent authorization, so first you've got to get agent authorization and just hope that it doesn't get lost in the post. Then you've got to then connect it to your software. Then you find out half the stuff that HMRC is putting through is crap and half of it's missing. So we actually decided it was more efficient not to use it and to request the information directly from the client in the first place.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like P60s, 80% are ones we're issuing anyway. So it's not an issue. Like, we've got them all already. We just need to get them onto Engager, ready for tax returns. So for us, it's not a huge pain point. However, for those that are doing loads of tax returns and they're not doing the payroll themselves, then I see the light at the end of the tunnel for that. I get why that's such an attractive concept. However, it's not reliable enough to be efficient in my mind. I feel you get more inefficient by trying to rely upon that efficiency.
That's it. Because there's some certain ones where we've just been waiting. Because in fairness to the providers, this is purely down to HMRC, right? Like this is HMRC have this thing where like they won't release the data until they're confident that the P11Ds are in place, and then there's this other time they've made up that there's other time frame that they've got, and basically you can wait all the way up until December until that will actually appear, and we've seen that happen, right? It wasn't available
last week. My wife got a letter saying, so she's employed, and she got a letter back saying, "Oh, we owe you £1,000 at HMRC."
Yeah, because they take X amount of time to get to the point where everything's all fingered for. Right.
If she was doing a tax return, that information wouldn't be available to us until now.
Yeah. So I get it, right? And hopefully this is where MTD can step in and solve that issue. Right? They get more updates more regularly. That in theory, this should be a thing of the past. P11Ds are going away, right? So that's going to help going forward. There's all that sort of stuff that's coming into play. Although that does worry me for when we do reconciliations, but that's one for another story, right? But when years where we've just had that come through and we've not asked for the P60s, clients haven't sent them in. They're like, oh, they didn't need it last year, so why should we provide it, sort of thing. And we're almost untraining the client. We're kind of going there. And if we'd have just stood firm, like you said, and been like, we're going to request it anyway, even if we don't need it. And then it goes through from there. Because we were in some cases sending out tax returns before the client had even really properly gone through and sent everything through for us, and shooting ourselves in the foot. So I think we've got to stop that reliance on technology. Another thing we've found this year as well, where our service solution was getting updates from Companies House, for example, for updating addresses and stuff, like the registered office address and who the directors are and stuff like that was automatically being updated. But then we kind of then dropped the checklist of, well, let's make sure we're doing those nice little things where we're checking stuff like the addresses and stuff. And this year we've had a few addresses go out where they needed updating and we didn't really know about it, and really we should have caught it. And they're small little quote unquote insignificant issues, but that's that's time efficiency, right? Because you've got to go back and put it through.
HMRC aren't going to care whether the address is actually right or wrong.
No, but it's a tardiness, isn't it?
They go, oh, hang on a minute, if you've not got that bit right, what else haven't you got right? Or even if they don't perceive you as an idiot for having the wrong address, they're like, oh yeah, it's fine, you've updated one database, you've not updated the other, don't worry about it. It's still an email in that you've had to read in action, you've gone and changed the tax return, then you've resent it. Like, it's still a 10-minute loss of time.
Yeah. And we used to have these obscene checklists where they'd have to go through each and tick this and all that. And obviously that was overkill. And but now we've gone too far back, right? And we've got too lax on it. So that's been our big learning for this year, because that's the bit that takes the most amount of time when you're going back and forward, especially when accounts might say one address, then the tax return says another. It's just tardiness, right? It's a slap on the wrist because we should be better at that sort of thing. And it happens once in a blue moon, but that once in a blue moon is still too much, right? And they're the things that I think we've got, and that is over reliance on tech. We've literally just been like, look, we're going to use the technology that's there. We're going to really rely on it, but actually it's caused us more issues than it would have done if we'd have just kind of stuck to our guns and done it the way we've always done it, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a big learning there, and hopefully, fingers crossed, this is something that MTD is going to help us down the line, and it'll be better for us. Fingers crossed.
We'll see.
I don't know, because I just the idea of even getting all of our clients onto, getting agent authority via the MTD portal just scares me more than anything. I think that's the bit that of moving to MTD is the scariest bit, is that making sure they're all going to have 648s in place or whatever the equivalent's going to be called going forward. But hopefully, fingers crossed, that does mean we'll have a more reliable use of that data, because we should be able to grab that data in, right? That should be readily available to us as accountants. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Even something like the payment on account should be available to us. They should automatically be flowing in, right? That's one less thing we need to do on every single client, where we've got to go into their portal, look at what they've actually paid for what we told them to pay, all that sort of stuff. I feel like that's the sort of thing that we should be given access to going forward. But we'll see if that comes through. But yeah, very strange for me to say, but we're actually looking to take a little step back from the technology next year and become less over reliant on it.
Cool. Makes sense. Like, it's just finding that balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because as soon as it lets you down, you've had it.
And maybe I'm going to be eating my words, but let's hope that MTD improves this and means that we can then go back forward again, and start utilizing it. But we shall see. In theory, it's going to be better, right? In theory,
yes. Let's see what actually happens, shall we? Cool. So Lisa says good morning in the comments. Paul says, Lisa, have you got a solution for clients that don't ever read their emails? Yeah, change your communication method, Paul. Like, if the client's not reading emails, then email's not the right platform for them. Should you be WhatsApping them? We use a client window in my firm, and the number of inquiries we get off our website has tripled overnight because we've got WhatsApp and people can just ask a question and stuff. So that's been really, really good. But B, our clients' response times are almost instant when we send it on WhatsApp versus sending it on emails. But also terminology, dumb it right down. So because Paul's saying here is that I have so many emails, and then 5 minutes later they call asking me what it's about. And it's well, that tells me you've not managed to explain it in their terms. So we don't get a lot of calls from our emails. We don't get a lot of what do you mean? We get the occasional one or two, but we've made sure all of our emails are dumbed right down. So it's using terminology and explanations and such a low level English, as it were, that it's a minority that don't understand, not the majority. And I've seen emails. I'm not saying this is the case for Paul, but I've seen emails from accountants and bookkeepers where I'm sat there going, what are they going on about here? Like, it's like reading a bloody email from a lawyer where they've not really committed or said anything actually, and it's 5 pages of nothing apart from confusion. So yeah, talk to your clients on a platform they prefer. So WhatsApp's very, very popular and a great solution. And just make sure you're wording it to them. So yeah, that would be my top tips there.
I'm jealous because we're desperate to get on WhatsApp. Like we have a WhatsApp business account and we do use it from time to time. But it's frustrating because only like a handful of us can get access to it and everything else. And I know Client Window is a great solution. I've just not had that time to look at it properly and see if it fits. And also for us, we'd need it to integrate with HubSpot because that's our main CRM tool, right? So we got different requirements at our end in terms of what the end result's going to be. But I think the other bit to consider there, Paul, and this works brilliantly for us, is if we have a complicated email to go back to, I don't sit there writing it out because I know that like Johan's just said there, you're going to spend a lot of your time having to you'll do your first draft and then you're going to go back to it and refine it and then refine it. And AI can help a little bit with that, but not for the bit that we need it to, right? To really do it. If anything, if you ask AI to simplify it, it's going to completely go the wrong direction and make it even more complicated, right?
Yeah.
So anything for me, I have like a little, what do you call it? If an email is going to take me more than 5 minutes, like maximum, like 5 minutes, my absolute maximum, then I will turn to just doing what we're doing now, and I will video the answer back to them. So we have it nicely branded like this. We're using StreamYard. We're already paying for StreamYard, so it makes sense to can use it for other things. But there's other solutions out there, right? There's what's that one everyone likes to use? The
Loom.
That's it. Yeah, Loom. Yeah. Or you can even use Zoom, right? Like anything you want to use from there. But the idea is
there is another way. If you're not keen on the video concept,
voice notes.
And I know you hate these with an absolute
passion, yeah.
But voice notes.
Yeah.
Voice notes make life so much easier for clients when you're just trying to explain things. Like, it's quicker for me to do a 30-second voice note than it is to write an email.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
And on client window, can you do that? Can you send your voice notes back and forth? Is that functionality there, is it? I don't know.
I think you so I know I can do voice notes on WhatsApp. You can definitely do voice notes, but on client window, you can. There was a slight issue with the iOS app.
Okay.
But the beauty part of client window is you can do it on your computer without any issues. You can do it on the Android. There's just a slight weird thing in iOS where it didn't like the file format they put into, but I think they fixed it now. Cool. But what they also do on client window is they don't just give you the MP4 recording to listen to. They transcribe it into the messages for you. It's like, actually, that's quite nice because when you're sat in the office,
and that's what we have in here. We would always transcribe it or we'll get the transcription because into our client engager area, we would say, look, this is we sent a video. Here's a link to the video, and this is a transcription of it. So if we ever needed AI to like analyze it or anything like that, then they've got a copy of that to go through, and that works really well. But just that idea of having a video to someone and having that conversation, because most of the time when you're then like presenting your answer to them, you can then just clarify things as you go along. So most of the time they're going to be asking things like, I don't know, a car or something. You'll go, but then if you look at electric car, and you can kind of go down that little tangent there of, or consider this, consider that. And if you try to do that in email, it'll just get lost, right? Whereas a quick 2 to 3 minute, 4 minute, 5 minute video that you send over to a client, and I think our clients probably are different because a lot of them have come from YouTube anyway. Like that's our biggest. So they love consuming video content anyway, right? So we're just we're giving them the content that they found us on, and we're giving them personalized videos. So I think a lot of them do like that. But I think a lot of clients do really like the idea of it. And I'd say the only feedback we've had with them, if you do send it, is at the top of the email. Just explain how long this is going to be. Like, look, give yourself 5 minutes to go through this and figure this down, because sometimes they want a real quick answer, and they'll see a video and they'll go, I've got to part that. But if it is just look, this is just going to take 30 seconds and you get it, they'll probably have to come back to you from there. So my only thing about voice notes would be if that encourages them to send it back, and how that's going to work. I don't know. Do we want to be inundated with voice notes? Because if we do, we'd then need to try and find a way to transcribe them to bring them in. That's my only.
Client window transcribes them for you.
So that you can
have
for
that. Us, it works nicely. Like I've got a client who doesn't do emails. He's like, when he does an email, it's long. So, and he wants to be able to have a discussion, but without it interrupting his day. So he'll send like a 6-minute voice note of all his thoughts on a certain matter. And I'll sit and listen, I'll take a few notes, and then I'll send him a voice note back. And the beauty of it is that if I'm out walking the dog, I can send him a voice note while walking the dog. Like if I'm filming it, it's like, do I want to be seen walking around with the camera on my phone? Is that professional in the client's eye? Whereas a voice note, I'm not worried about my background, my surroundings, or anything like that. I'm just going, buff.
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah.
And like Clive said in the comments, video/audio seems to be the way forward, but I struggle to talk to myself. I hate leaving voicemail. I get it, but I think there'll be more people unwilling to do videos like Aaron does than there would be to send voice notes.
Yeah.
So I think voice notes is a nicer step into it. I hate leaving voicemails myself, and it took me a while to get used to and feel comfortable sending voice notes. And you know what? When you're going, like when I send a 6-minute voice note, so this client who I do FD work for, like there's always ums and ahs and ers and stuff, but it's just that would be there in a natural conversation if I stood in front of him because I'm thinking as I say it.
Yeah.
So
And it becomes less robotic, right?
Yeah.
And natural language, and there is something about that. And I think because I just going back to like video editing and stuff, there's been some times where I've over edited videos where I've just completely taken out every like and ah and everything else, and it almost sounds robotic. And you listen to it back and you go, that just you lose your authenticity, don't you, when you really overanalyze it. So with Paul's point there about hate leaving, but just takes it like we who we are. Like you wouldn't feel worried about picking up a phone call and talking to the client, right? Or answering the phone if they came back, and it's exactly the same process as that, isn't it? It's your authenticity.
Cool. Clive says, in Ireland, directors' payroll figures are automatically populated on their income tax return, including taxes deducted. We have no P60s anymore.
Absolute
miles ahead of us.
Off. Jesus, yeah, show off.
Yeah.
But a question to Clyde though: have you got rid of P11Ds? Because I'm still petrified of this future about P11Ds. But yeah,
it's going to be interesting. Rachel says, Johann, is your MTD income tax webinar this week going to be recorded? You're signed up? Yes. So this question actually really, really bloody irritates me. Like, oh, is it going to be recorded? Like, so we've got a general policy in Engager that every webinar is recorded. Full stop. I don't understand anyone that wouldn't record a webinar in 2025. I just don't.
Yeah,
I don't get it. Because
is it the paywall one? So isn't that don't? I think that's
surely if someone's paid and signed up and they can't make it anymore, do you want the hassle of the refund or stuff, or do you just send them a link to the recording?
Yeah, I think it's when it's included as a part, and I don't agree with it. But I've seen the reasons for certain ones that aren't being recorded are, well, you're part of this group and you paid to be part of this group. If you don't turn up, tough almost. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
but is that not the same attitude of, well, I don't do tax returns in January?
Potentially.
Like ultimately, life gets in the way. Yeah. Things come up, your priorities change. So yeah, but yes, answer to Rachel's question is our webinar will be recorded. There's currently 375 people signed up for that webinar. So yeah, I'll talk more about that in a moment. Rachel says, hence you need to link Engager to client window. Its discussions are underway. No ETAs or anything, but that is the ultimate goal. Paul says we use WhatsApp a lot, but many are calling or signing emails and or signing off without reading it first. A bit of training, but also like in our emails, we've kind of worked out what are the most frequently asked questions we get when we send an e-sign out for a tax return or a set of accounts or a payroll or something. And we put those email answers in the email. So our email template for e-signing a tax return looks very different to a VAT return, to a payroll return, etc. So we're tailoring the content. And I'll tell you what, doesn't take many times of you going, as stated in the email we sent.
Yeah.
Before the client goes, you know what, I really ought to start reading these emails more. So yeah, so if it says it, if I put it in the email and then they question it, I go back and go, it was explained in the email here. Do you need more? If they've asked something that I look at it and go, actually, we didn't go into that level, or they've got a bit confused about that, then fine. But if it's already in a previous email, I always say, as shown here, as stated in the previous email, just to make them realize that actually you've just not read it properly, or you've not read this email at all. And instead of wasting everyone's time, just read it.
And that is also, you remind me of another point where we've gone back in technology as well, or at least gone back in what we want from our technology. Because there was this, and I'm sure you're the same, right? You've got all these custom fields in Client Engager. So for us, one of our most used at this point in time is how much they need to pay for their tax return, right? Like what is the January bill, what's the July bill? And because then it'll populate our email that we go out for our sign-offs, right? And makes that process so much better that before we send the sign in, we have this covering email. Look, we're about to ask you to sign this. Here's the stuff you need to know about, right? This is how much needs to be paid. This is this and this. And a lot of that is generated. So there's very little work for us to do other than click the button and send it off, and off it goes. But I was always at this point where I was thinking, wouldn't it be nice if the how much needs to be paid was automatically populated by HMRC, and that's the dream, right? Like we don't have to do anything, and it all does it for us, and all this and the other. But the more I think about it, there's something about you typing into that box how much that client needs to pay. It's that final bit of you going, does this feel right? Like the client's inside out. Yeah. You've done it for maybe a couple of, this could be the 5th year or 6th year, whatever you've done this for this client, right? When you type that number in, there's something about, is that you're going to know straight away, is the client going to come back to you like absolutely bamboozled by this number? Is this what they're expecting? Yeah. And there's something thinking about you physically going through to that final check, that final send off to the client of just going, you know what, I've nailed this. The client's going to expect this, or something doesn't feel right here. And then you can start like having that final check. And I think there's something about that, isn't there? Than just, if it just populated, you wouldn't think about it. But when you physically have to put that in, and again, that's me talking about going backwards in technology and going, going backwards. But we've made so many other efficiencies, and there's so many other gains that we've made. So that final check there, I think, is really important, isn't it?
Definitely. And it is entering that number. It is a sense check to you. But like a lot of people don't even put those numbers on the covering email. And I'm like, well, why wouldn't you? Because most of your clients won't. They'll scroll through this huge SA100. Even if you put tax calculations, payment calculations all at the bottom or at the top or whatever, it's just white noise to them. They're just going, where do I look? Exactly. We're refining that by putting it on the email going, look, tax returns here to sign off, but you need to pay this here, bank details are here. The reference is your UTR number, which is this. Like, we are telling you all the information here. And then our little statement saying, when you log it, we also put on that email, like, it takes 48 to 72 hours for this to potentially show at HMRC when you log into your government gateway. So we're setting the expectation straight away, because we used to get loads of emails saying, oh, it's not there. It's like, well, give it a chance. HMRC aren't that quick. And then we also have the line saying, these numbers may differ. Always pay what HMRC tell you to pay. But if you have got any questions, please reach out.
Yeah, 100%. And there's something about putting what their penalty can be if they don't get it signed and sent back to you in time. And especially if you do that full one where if it's not within 1 month, it's not in 3 months, not in 4 months, like, you really show them how big that number can be. That's to Paul's way of making them read it. Oh, that suddenly gets their attention of, let's get this signed then, I
know. Clive's come back to your question on benefits and stuff. So in Ireland, no P11Ds. Benefit in kind is also reported live in payroll, and since 2024, employee expense reimbursement is also reported live along payroll. So it can be done.
It can be done. It's a scary world though, isn't it, though? There's something about having that P11D separate is just a really easy and quick way of going, all right, that's why that tax figure is X, Y, Z. You've underpaid because of that, or whatever it's going to be, right? Like that is an easy way of doing it. But or your tax code change 8 times in a year.
The P60 form is going to change then to reflect.
But we've not been told that though, have we? Like, hopefully,
you would assume it would. But
please say that's the case, right? Please give us more information on that P60. Like, we've been crying out for it for a long time, and especially now where I can't imagine any P60 has been done manually. Like, I imagine the reason that it's been very dumbed down and it's very standard is because of people manually doing it, and there was that kind of, we don't want to overburden them, but surely now this day and age. It is
They're all
just
generated, surely.
yeah. So giving us more information is going to help everyone, and it will help the client understand it more. Like they get so confused. What do you mean that's not my final bill? Like the P60, why is that not? Oh, I've got this thing called a P11D. What's a P11D? And it's that whole conversation, isn't it? If we can just give them more information on that P60, I think a lot of them will understand themselves what to expect more.
Definitely.
That will just help them there.
Yeah. Paul says, great advice. Thank you very much. Sorry for derailing the podcast a bit. Not a problem whatsoever. We're here to share our expertise.
That's what we're here for.
All right. Expertise is a strong word. We're here to share our experience and understanding of what we've done. Right. So we've got our tax returns. They're filed. Lots of one-off clients. Aaron, what are you using to collect your money from the clients?
I haven't changed for a long time. I am still using the wonderful world of Go Cardless and who else do I use? Oh, PayPal, isn't it? Yeah.
Cool. So you're paying over the odds.
And a few Cresco. Thanks to the wonderful integration at
public service announcement. Cresco, as of the 7th of March, will no longer be doing standing order links because they were never supported properly by the banks. Some people seem to have got an email about this. Others haven't.
Yeah.
I don't know what's gone wrong, but
I think it was who was using it because not everyone was using it, right? So I think it.
Yeah, but
you basically targeted.
You still need to tell all of your clients because that's like me turning something off in Engager and going, well, I'm not going to tell you can't send proposals and letters of engagement anymore because you've never used it. Well, in your mind, it's part of the package, isn't it? You might want to use it in the future.
Depends how good your PR team is, because some people don't like negative PR.
So Cresco turning off the standing order feature for anyone that's using that at the moment. You've got until the 7th of March to reevaluate that.
That could be a big issue, right? Like,
huge.
I
know many an Engager firm that run off those instead of using direct debits.
Because it was never perfect, right? Because the beauty of a direct debit is you can make the change whenever you want and off it goes. But yeah, the idea that your whole payment structure could be, and March isn't that far away for something as big as this. That's quite scary for those firms who are reliant. Because I know myself, like, if you took away my Go Cardless integration link and all that tomorrow, I am in serious trouble. Like, yeah, the ramifications of that being taken away from me or that not working, I don't know if I have a proper contingency. I'll be completely honest. I think that is mission critical problem number one sort of thing, and I don't know what my solution would be. It's like one of those really scary.
I've got the solution for you, Aaron. So it's called Adfin.
What a segue.
Hashtag not sponsored. Nothing like that, guys. I've been testing Adfin's QuickBooks integration for them as part of a alpha test type thing, because that's going to go live in the next few weeks. And Adfin will be integrating into Engager in the coming early this year, at the start of this year at some point. So I've been testing that, and I'll tell you what. So I've replaced Go Cardless, Cresco, PayPal, and Stripe with Adfin, and I've even got rid of Chaser because Adfin does it for you.
Okay, now you piqued my interest.
Literally, so Adfin. So here's the beauty, right? So we've started getting some live examples. Our tax return invoices that are one-off invoices are getting paid almost instantly because you don't even have to enter your card details if you've got Google Pay or Apple Pay. You just click on that and you pay us.
Yeah, perfect.
There's also open banking like Cresco. And it's like, fine, brilliant. And that money hits your bank account instantly as well. Wonderful. The absolute sweet spot on it that was just incredible to me was Aaron, Go Cardless have requested a payment from one of your clients for an invoice. It's bounced. It wasn't successful because there was not enough funds in the account. What happens now in your world?
Normally that just means I've got to go and tell the client that it's going to go again, and then we have to send it again, and There's a whole rigmarole which we
You've got
have
to wait for
need.
it to retry, and
Yeah.
it delays it and delays it and delays it, right?
Yeah.
Adfin emails them going, direct debit didn't work. Do you want to pay this invoice via card or credit card? Or do you want to wait for the invoice for the direct debit to try again? So a client whose account's cash flow wasn't great, they every now and then direct debit bounces and it delays the income to us for a week or two because of it. As soon as they got that email, they went, no, pay now. So I actually ended up getting paid quicker for a failed direct debit mandate than I would have done if the direct debit mandate would have been processed properly, because it takes longer to go through the direct debit process.
I like that.
It's all in one place. So it's not like I've had to go, oh, this has failed. Do you want to try using PayPal or Stripe or whatever? It's done it all for me.
And that's the beauty of an all-in-one solution, right? Because
it is.
They have them there. And I don't know if this is possible now or anything else, but the kind of end goal would be that it's failed. You've given the client the opportunity to either pay straight away if they've got that opportunity to do so, or let them say when they want that money to be taken out. And if they put that in there that, oh, you know what, they know themselves, look, the money's not going to be here till the 20th. But if they can put there and then, look, collect on the 20th and everything's going to be fine. If they could just do it there and then automatically, and they pick from that email when they want that to be taken,
I don't think they can do it that bit yet. But
yeah, but that'll be the ultimate goal, right?
Yeah.
Like because that's all we need. For most of our clients, I know they're going to pay me at some point, but for me, if I had to keep going backwards and forwards and everything else, that's just a time waste, right?
Yep.
But if there was an opportunity for them to be upfront and go, look, collect it on the 20th and we're sorted, that's also setting it in the goal. But if it doesn't hit the 20th and it fails again, then there's an opportunity, or then there's probably a reason there to have a conversation with the client about where this relationship's going, because clearly there's a breakdown.
Yeah.
Like you promised one thing, it's not delivered. There's going to have to be something there. But at the moment, it's kind of a case of like, who's in the wrong almost? Like, is it the client? Is it us? Are we taking it on the wrong date? There's a lot of question marks, right? But if we can, one day, theoretically in the world, maybe it's not Adfin, maybe it's something else, but if we have the solution of the client can then just go, look, I'm going to pay on this date, trust me bro, I've got this, then I think there's definitely an opportunity there. And if you say, like you said, if it's kind of almost replacing that chaser-esque as well, and we know that the client said it was the 20th or whatever it's going to be, I think that could be really powerful. Right,
so at the moment it sends out emails to chase the invoice when it's overdue. It sends out text messages and WhatsApps, and in the coming weeks, you're going to be able to determine your own frequency of that. At the moment, it's a preset schedule.
Yeah.
But blown away by it. Just having it all in one place and having credit control done for me. Incredible. And then, as Paul has said in the comments, like Go Cardless charge you for failed collections and retries. We never pass that on to the client, do we?
No.
Adfin don't charge you for the fails. So there's no additional cost to us because our client failed to have enough money in the bank account.
Yeah.
Which makes me less bitter about the client's direct debit failing.
Well, that's
it's not cost me anymore.
And for someone like yourself as well, where you've got multiple entities, right? Like in theory, one payment platform to rule them all is what you could potentially get to at some point, right? Instead of having to jump in and out and go to different ones and all this and ever, and this works on this way and all that, because that's an admin headache, isn't it?
Yep, exactly.
Having that one solution could be beneficial.
So if you use Xero for your firm's billing, then Adfin's fully functional for you already. If you're using QuickBooks, it was going to be live in the coming weeks, assuming I don't break it. Now, as a caveat and fair warning, like I broke another practice management's QuickBooks integration. It took them 3 years to repair and relaunch it. So it could be bad. But the opportunity with this is huge. Like the streamlining of an admin is going to be phenomenal. We're seeing invoices getting paid quicker already for one-off clients, which I'm loving. If you've not started looking at Adfin, definitely a worthwhile look at, just to save you having all those different payment platforms to reconcile.
Yeah,
Huge win.
I mean, Bofix at the moment has what? Go Cardless, PayPal, Cresco, Stripe, Square. I've got a couple of others as well. Yeah. So, yeah, if you can streamline that. Yeah, streamline that. That's the savings there already, isn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
While we're talking about tax returns and MTD, for anyone that's not aware, on the 16th of this month, so on Thursday, the 16th of January at 10 a.m., there is a webinar that Engager are running, where I will be going through my firm's actual MTD Get Ready plan. So I'm going to go through all the custom fields, our plans, our process, how we're categorizing all of our clients, all of our email templates, everything. So this kind of plan and to get MTD ready for my firm took me about 5 hours to create and implement. We're cracking on with the plan really nicely. So I'm going to share all of that in the webinar, completely free of charge, so that anyone can take all those templates and implement them in their practice so that they can be MTD ready as well. So if you've not seen the link for that, check out my LinkedIn feed. It's on there. It's on all the Engager channels as well. You can sign up there. There's already 375 people signed up for this webinar. And yes, it is recorded. And yes, you'll be able to access the recording if you've signed up. But also, we'll put it into the Engager Help Center at some point as well. So yeah, if you're worried about MTD ITSA, like Sage, QuickBooks, Free Agent, they're all banging on about it. And they're showing you how to file an MTD IT return and what it's going to work like in their bookkeeping solution. That's great. But actually, there's a far bigger part of this that no one's talking about. And that is the upskilling your team, putting a plan in place, categorizing all your clients, making sure you're ready. And we can either go and listen to a software company come up with a plan that they've never tested in their firm, in any firm, or you can come and listen to me talk about exactly what we're doing in my firm. So yeah, there we go. That's my sales pitch done. I'll tell Adfin to send me the check. No, I'm joking. Not sponsored, not advertising. It's just blown me away in the last week how much easier it's made credit control for me.
Yeah, and it's a big part of it, right? Like we've got to keep our things on it. I don't know how I feel about the migration. That's my scary bit of moving clients from one to another. But yeah.
So it's been so easy for me. So literally all I did, so I imported all my customers from QuickBooks into Adfin. I'll be honest, there was a bit of a mess there and shit in, shit out.
Yeah.
But that's my fault, not Adfin's. I should have kept a cleaner customer list. Like there was loads of old customers in there. So I should have kept a cleaner list of customers in QuickBooks. Lesson learned. Select all. Request mandate. Buff. And you can put a little note. So I literally put a custom note on there saying, "Hi, we're moving our direct debit platform from Go Cardless to Adfin. The reason is that it's going to save us time and money and in administration, which means we don't have to one less cost to add on to our fee structure. Can you please sign your mandate?" And that then Adfin automatically remind them every 7 days until they've done it. And the rate of signups has been phenomenal. Like people that didn't sign up to Go Cardless have signed up to this.
Oh, interesting.
So like they're just on it. And then I've just gone in. Like the painful part was going into Go Cardless and going delete, like having to open a separate window for every customer and press delete. That was the painful part. But integration wise, I'm really impressed.
Nice.
My only learning that I would share with everyone is just tidy up your customer list in QuickBooks first or in Xero first.
Yeah.
So you're not importing a load of old clients and realizing you can't just press select all and send for mandate, because you'll be asking old clients that have left you or clients that are, you need to do a bit of filtering if you've got one-off clients that you're happy to do card payments with. But yeah, really quick and simple.
If only Adfin went to integrated with a solution that had a more active client list.
It's on its way. And that's exactly why we wanted that integration with Advin. So yeah. Right, Aaron, we have got 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
Out of the topics that are left on our list, which one would you like to talk about?
Hey, you choose. You choose whichever.
I think we need to follow up last week's podcast all about tech and what we were looking forward to from CES, because that happened last week. Did you see anything of interest from CES that's going to be relevant to our audience?
It was a bit of a damp squid, wasn't it? I've always wondered if that's the right phrase or not, damp squid. But anyway, yeah, it was a bit underwhelming, wasn't it? It wasn't quite what we were expecting. I think for home automation, great. There was a if you're looking for a new graphics card, amazing. You're in good hands.
And you've got a spare $2,000 to spend.
Yeah, exactly. But that was really it. Like even the Windows, because this is normally where you get to figure out if you're going to have a new Windows laptop, which one to go for, blah blah blah. Nothing really stood out to me. In fact, I'm still sticking with the Microsoft, even though I'm not 100% happy with that Surface one. I'm still sticking with that. From the Windows side, I don't know. Like I was left a bit disappointed. Where was DJI's announcement? Like where was their, 360 camera they were teasing and everything else? I don't know. Nothing
overly exciting from any of the television manufacturers. Like Ugreen didn't come out with any new power charging technology, really.
No.
I think the highlight for me was I love my little robotic vacuum cleaner in my office.
The one with a little claw.
And there's now one that's got a claw to pick up your dirty socks. And it'll either move it to one side for you or it'll go and put it in a designated spot as requested. Like, genius. Like,
that's where it's come.
Like, it'll pick up anything up to 300 grams, I think. So yeah, that's quite cool. But yeah, it was a bit. I do wonder is 2025 going to be a bit of a quieter year for technology, or hardware at least, because we're not expecting anything big and major from Apple this year. We might get a thinner phone, but at the cost of battery life potentially.
New Apple TV. That's always a This home hub idea could be interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, minor changes, improvement. I don't think it's anything groundbreaking. Obviously, it's still only start of 2025, but like we're not expecting anything major in the iPhone category this year. No. Samsung have got their event next week for their S25, and Samsung don't do very well at keeping secrets. And from what I've seen, there's nothing overly exciting about this new Samsung coming out. So yeah, I don't know. I wonder if 2025 is going to be a bit of a quieter refinement year. Like we've got the hardware, we're refining the software this year, and 2026 will be another next step up. Maybe.
Potentially. I mean, everything's all AI related, right? Like that's
Clive's just said that in the comments. 2025 is AI.
Yeah. That's pretty much what everyone's thinking about. And yeah, and we've said before, like even Apple's not been able to figure it out. So the smaller ones, and that's why a lot of you get from the CES for me is like seeing what those smaller innovations, companies have innovated on.
Wasn't it CES last year when we saw like that pin thing that could put a hologram on your hand with the time, and they're now bankrupt. Like, and the rabbit device thing that was an AI assistant type Game Boy type thing. Again, I don't know if they're bankrupt, but I don't think they're rolling in it.
No.
So yeah, interesting.
We'll see. I think, it was a bit of a letdown, but in our world, we kind of rely on Apple's keynotes and Microsoft keynotes and stuff like that, really, I suppose, don't we? I mean, for what we're going to do. I think the Microsoft one should be important this year, and I think that's end of January as well. I think they've definitely got some, like Microsoft Teams needs that overhaul, doesn't it, of really having those integrations it needs to have. Copilot needs to have more opportunities with the bookings calendar and stuff like that. So that's what we really want to see from Microsoft. I think that could have a bigger impact on the accounting industry than anything else.
Yeah, definitely. Right. Well, it is 9:31, people. So we are going to love you and leave you. We will be here this time next week, as always, to go through all of the latest news, if there is any, discuss how we're getting on with our tax returns, see if I lose any further hairline, which, it's an endangered species, so let's hope not. But yeah, Aaron, what have you got on this week? Are you just at home?
Webinars this week. Quite a few of them for QuickBooks, and just getting cracking on with it. Like, my aim is by the end of this week to have a majority of our standard clients done and dusted, and then it's just going to be any of those PNCs for the week after to see, can we help them, can we not, have we got time to, that sort of stuff, and everything else. Just pull in one last question or one last comment. Dave says, are we watching from India? So enjoy yourself over there for about 7 weeks from next Monday. So hopefully that goes well. And yeah, we'll definitely miss you at both Engager Labs and QuickBooks Connect. But have a good one out there, Dave. Enjoy it.
Enjoy.
Time difference must be a bit of an awkward one to watch us if you're going to watch us live. But yeah, hopefully enjoy it.
Hopefully you'll watch us back. Brilliant. Yeah. Right. Thank you very much to everybody for joining. All your comments, as per usual, keeping us honest and true. And we will see you all next week.
Cheerio, everyone. Bye for now.